Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it seems that OpTic Leaksy may well be back at it again with all the talk about whether New York subliners can possibly keep their same roster going into next week of matches. Shotzzy seems to think that PaulEhx has a spot in the league. Where could that possibly be? Very much intrigued to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, not far off 76k as well. Just absolutely love to see it. First of all, this next thought was pretty cool. I guess today, coming up with a vlog of their major victory. Exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to whenever the process comes out as well, because I'm sure the behind the scenes of the OpTic stage or major is going to be a great watch whenever this one happens to come out. This also from the Call of Duty League. Of course, the end of last year, they really struggled on the sponsorship front, right? Basically, all the sponsors wanted to pull out with all the stuff that was going on with Activision Blizzard more generally. But they've got an interesting sponsor here, or partnership going on with AimLab. Honestly, I did not know that AimLab did anything that wasn't like, that was controller-based. I thought it was just PC stuff. Valorant and CSGO, definitely I've seen them on broadcasts and stuff like this. I guess this is pretty cool, to be honest. Never miss a shot again, they say. Not sure exactly what the long-term implications of this are going to be, but I thought it was pretty cool to mention regardless. This also kind of just to coincide with it, right? Because Chrome came out with this. I can't believe he honestly keeps this updated. He has a massive spreadsheet effectively here on .esports, basically saying every single pro in the league, all the settings that they use down the board, and of course it's very difficult to actually keep up with it. Now, as Chrome says, most are using default aim assist, whereas RC's Vivid, Dave Paddy, Asim and Kenny are using the Black Ops aim assist according to the CDL website. So I think with this partnership going on, some of the actual settings the pros use were uploaded to the CDL website, but Kenny says, look, I actually use default the same, so do I Vivid. So, for some reason the website is wrong for whatever reason, but also this thought was an interesting discussion here between, 95 FOV Arcitys, 100 affected, the pros seem to change their stuff all the time, to be honest. It seems like Clayster said, I thought it was kind of funny here. Every main gets cooked in one series and goes from one to the other, so apparently that's the play. If you guys want to check out everything, I'll leave a link down below. Speaking of Activision and Call of Duty doing some interesting stuff, this was confirmed yesterday, the Mobile World Championship 2022 schedule. Of course, mobile gaming is a bigger thing in maybe other demographics, right, than mainly where the general Call of Duty League is based, US, UK, it's obviously a massive thing in maybe Latin America, India, these type of regions. As you can see right here, there's a North American side, EU, Japan, Latin America, and India as well. So, look, there's $2 million on the line for this. Honestly, it's pretty crazy. Mobile gaming is massive nowadays, and Call of Duty is making so much money from it, I think, right now. And honestly, the game itself is actually really good, in fairness, compared to what we have in the actual Call of Duty game the last couple of years. And yeah, the World Championship is going to be a LAN all the way in December, so it makes sense they're going to put funding towards this, right? But you see this and you think, come on, lads, can we not give some sort of more interest in actually the proper CDL competitive scene, right, to make sure the game maybe gets produced to some degree, so it's going to be good for competitive? I don't know, maybe something that will happen down the line. But anyway, let's dive into this stuff then to do with Shotzzy and exactly what's been going on the past week or so, because Zero tweets this out. He's been killing it on the streams lately. I'd just love to see it. Now he's out in America streaming with Method and Shotzzy and the trio that they have going on there, playing ranked play and stuff like this. It's just a fantastic time. Really insane personality. Good to see him, people actually recognize that as part of the scene now. So as he says, Shotzzy cut is officially complete. Maybe this will make him absolutely fry. Maybe he needs to pick the SMG up back again like he was doing with the Sorg back in the Black Ops 4 days. But Zero, of course, the main ER right now for the London Royal Ravens. He was playing with PaulEhx this past week in quite an interesting circumstances. Gizmo goes home, Paul comes into the team, and he was absolutely killing it, right? Look at this three-piece. It's still absolutely beautiful stuff up against the Los Angeles Thieves. Pretty much everyone said after the series, well, Paul kind of proved in their first series against New York at the start of the weekend, especially in this series against Thieves, he certainly still has what it takes to be in the league. Pretty much everyone said, yes, maybe he deserves an opportunity, especially on some of the teams that certainly are struggling at the present time. New York, of course, very much being one of them. Their current squad is clearly not working. No idea why they decided to play Bakaj here. Pretty much everyone said, look, they just gave up, they're chilled, it's just time to wrap up this roster and go down a different route. Now, of course, if you are going to do that, probably a two-person change is necessary, because a one-man change, I always feel doesn't really change all that much within a team. They tried to do it, right, with Royalty for Neptune. Did that really work at all, to be honest? Nothing was really different. With Royalty in the team, it was just the same. Stat-wise, everything looked the same across the board with Royalty and Neptune in the team. Neptune comes back, things look exactly the same, even though they tried to change things like Crim running a sub. Whenever that happens with teams, you probably know it's not far from being chalked. So subliners surely have to do something. PaulEhx, of course, seems like a reasonable option. If you are going to do the PaulEhx thing, though, you've got to think about, okay, how do the roles work on the rest of the team? He tweets this out yesterday, potentially locked in, right? So we'll see if that, obviously he hasn't done a contract signing gif or anything. That would be too obvious. But, it's always difficult to read into these tweets. One thing that people were trying to read into was actually this one that I thought was quite interesting. Getting the vaccine tomorrow, what am I getting into? Let me know, all this type of stuff. So to my knowledge, from a little bit of research, I believe in some states, and New York, I think specifically, has a rule where if you want to live and work in New York, you have to have the vaccine. Now, I don't believe the New York guys actually live in New York. I'm pretty sure they're in Texas. But of course, there is a major, like the New York do have, I'm pretty sure Major 4 is the New York Major. So at some points, you will have to be living and working in New York for that particular weekend. And also maybe it's a CDL, I don't know, the CDL, like I'm pretty sure Daniel Sai was talking about it a little bit. I don't know, something that PaulEhx might be considering here if he is going to sign for New York and signing to the CDL, that this might be something that might affect him if he doesn't get it. So people are looking at this thinking, okay, why get it now if you haven't got it already, unless there's some other reason to get it right, which could potentially be getting actually signed to a CDL franchise. So this was a clip that came out, I believe it was on Method Stream actually, but Shotzzy's talking in the background about, okay, PaulEhx, like has it been announced yet where he's going, effectively was the discussion. Zero had a few words to say. The music's kind of loud, so I'll try and cut it out, and hopefully the audio won't sound completely abysmal, but Shotzzy basically says it again, like, wow, isn't it common knowledge he's in the league already?
From this week either.
Wait, is Paul on the team, brother?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is, yeah. Why would I say that, Ant, if he is or not, bro? On stream, in front of the shots, the in city, and the club of...
Because who cares?
I mean, who cares? I'm not trying to air out anyone's info.
That's true. But it's not no secret.
Jesus Christ.
It's not no secret.
Jesus Christ.
So Leaksy does seem to be back at it again, to be honest. He was doing all this leaking right about the OpTic Texas team, like the logo and stuff like this during the off-season. Like, well, any chance he gets, he seems to throw a little bit of intel out there. And of course, we could have expected that PaulEhx is going to go somewhere. The main discussion is right now that probably New York could be the team to target him. Now, of course, if you are going to do that, you can't surely have Crim, Clay, and PaulEhx on the team, unless you're thinking somehow of like replacing Neptune for PaulEhx, having Paul as your flex, Crim as the second sub to Hydra. Like, look, I don't really see that working in the long term. Maybe they just make that one person move for this coming week. I don't know. This is all speculation, of course. But maybe they still keep Crim and Clay, but change the roles. I don't know what they're thinking. To me, the only way this team is possibly going to work in the long term is you keep Hydra, you keep either one of Crimsix and Clayster. To me, right now, I would keep Crim and put him on the main ER, to be perfectly honest. I'd have Paul as my flex, and I'd try and get another SMG alongside Hydra. Getting the SMG that they want might be a bit of a question mark, though. I'm pretty sure when they picked up a royalty, actually, there was some talk about them getting Johnny from Challengers, like a really talented, seemingly Challengers player, that maybe is an option to get, because at the end of the day, if you're Crim and Clay, the last few years, you look at Dallas Empire, for example, they had, Illy, Shotzzy, Huke, they had these young guys, incredible talents, and you can see where those players are today, right, especially the likes of Illy and Shotzzy, doing what they're doing right now on OpTic, already world champions on the Dallas Empire team from back in 2020 in Modern Warfare, but still, it seems like Crim and Clay may well need to think about, okay, can we actually get some more up-and-coming talent, the likes of Hydra, maybe someone from Challengers can still do that. There's still some guys out there with talent that haven't yet been picked up. PaulEhx is a very solid, serviceable player, but I don't really think a one-person change with PaulEhx as someone else is actually going to work. Clay makes this very clear actually on the 5th of March. He's refound his passion for Call of Duty, excited to scrim every single day. Pretty sure he's been playing a lot of ranked play lately as well, so doesn't seem like Clayster just wants to straight up retire and get out of there, or even move to another team. If they put him to the bench, like, who knows what will happen in that point. I honestly think that might be what this team has to do in the long term to actually make this team a championship contender. But for now, Clayster is certainly keen to stay, and if that is the case, then of course, what do you do with the rest of the team in order to make room for a guy like PaulEhx to come in? Neptune says, got to keep digging deep. It does seem somewhat unlikely to me that he'll continue to remain in this roster for all that much longer, but yeah, still definitely tweet your perspective in the comment section below. What do you think they will do? Like, yeah, as I say, I honestly think, and I've thought this for a few weeks now, and I'm surprised I haven't tried this already, Crim on the main, because if you look at all the best main assault rifles in this game, like at the top 3 in the game, pretty much undisputed, I would say, Dashy number 1, Zero probably number 2, and then Arcitys probably number 3. Now, all of those players, what do they have in common? At some point in the past, they've been a flex player, either last year or a longer time ago. Like Zero can run any single role, like he's been a main ER back in the day. He ran a submachine gun back in Black Ops 4, for example. Dashy's been kind of a flex for the majority of his career. Arcitys, of course, did it in Modern Warfare and is a very flexible player in general. Seems to me that the most effective auto players in this entire game are generally players that can actually flex and can use this kind of what seems like a bit of a flex gun more generally. If the STG was being used as the main ER, I think some of the more traditional ones would do a little bit better. So that's why I kind of think it's probably worth a go. Crim on the main, Hydra, get him a new SMG duo, maybe a guy like Johnny, bring PaulEhx into the team, give it a go, kind of revitalize the culture in that sense, because turning this team around is going to be a tough task. In fairness, they do have a theoretically easier matchup next week. Like, yeah, New York versus Paris next week. So it's a tough time for both of these teams right now. 11th versus 12th in the league pretty resoundingly. Now, look, if New York can get the better of them, that's at least a nice little confidence booster. I think we've seen it for a couple of teams now, especially OpTic in stage 1, when they were having a hard time. They lost 2 Game 5 round 11s. The CDL served them up Paris, and they took a pretty convincing W, and maybe New York can get the same kind of a motivation if they win a series like this. But I mean, still, if you lose to Paris, then all of a sudden it's completely chalked. I honestly think they're going to make a change in the coming days. Maybe it's PaulEhx, who knows what they're going to do, and they should be able to take care of business against Paris. But yeah, we shall see on that front. This also just to look at the standings right now then for stage 2, because this is stage 2 so far. Muted is London kind of heading it up, and of course, look, we've only played 1 weekend of matches, so FaZe have only played 1 game so far, but I mean, they're down here in 9th, right, and still already, it's kind of incredible to be honest, how despite all the other rankings being kind of strange right now, because some teams have only played a couple of games, these of course will change over time, so you would imagine, to have the better teams move up towards the top, but it still manages somehow to be Paris and New York down here at the bottom, and in fairness, one of these teams will get a W next week, so I guess one of them won't be at the bottom of the standings anymore, but yeah, it's still a tough time for both of these rosters right now. This also thought was kind of interesting, credit to Paris Legion, a 100% so far round 11 win records, thought some cool stats here from IU Turtle, so Surge 4-1, of course, that's accuracy, doing a lot of great work in those round 11s. Sublime is actually here at 2-1, so not all that many round 11s have been played as of yet. The team that seems to go to the most so far, OpTic have 6, Ravens have 6 as well, Surge have 5, and OpTic are kind of a 50-50 on them now, which is pretty interesting actually, given the fact that at the start of the year, they looked pretty woeful in their round 11s, the clutch factor was non-existent. Nowadays, they've actually turned that around quite quickly. Royal Ravens is interesting as well, actually, even FaZe at 2 and 3. Thing is with FaZe, I'm pretty sure even in previous years, they haven't had the craziest round 11 records, but they just win the games before they even go to round 11. Like, it's quite interesting actually they have so many, because I think last year, FaZe had one of the lowest percentages of actually getting to round 11, because they would pretty much just win all their games like 6-3, so they wouldn't have to worry about doing round 11s. Whereas Los Angeles Thieves right now, it seems to kind of be the other way around. They've only gone to 3 round 11s, which isn't all that many, and Legion have only gone to 2, probably because they're just losing the majority of their search and destroys without putting up all that much resistance. So very much intrigued to get your thoughts in the comment section below on this one. What's going to happen in the coming days? Is Shotzzy right on this one? Is PaulEhx coming into the league? Is he going to go to New York or somewhere else? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, tell us the YouTube gods it's a good video, others like you should see it as well, and I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.
Go through
this is a wholesome video, bro.
The nature of the beast.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy. I used to watch this guy, bro.
Because it only has been
now I tell him to bait for me, bro.
There's no saying that OpTic Texas will continue their dominant streak.
That's so weird, bro.
And what if I'm right?